Okay, hello everyone, back at Summer Games Fest. This is Raymond Flotat from mxdwn.com, and I am here with Tyler.
Yes.
Yes, and one more time, Lansdown?
Lansdown, correct.
Lansdown
Right.
from Warner Brothers Games.
From NetherRealm Studios, yes.
NetherRealm Studios, okay, excellent. And so we're here talking about MK1, Mortal Kombat 1.
I'm ready to do it.
How long have you been working on this game?
This game, we're not really saying how long. It's been, been a bit.
Sure.
Not really giving an exact amount of time on that.
Sure.
I've been working on, for a bit.
Generally a while.
Generally a bit, yeah.
Because that's the over and under in a lot of discussions, is things
Right.
go from like 6 months to 6 years.
Sure, things happen. But yeah, it's paying off though. We're excited about it. The reaction has been great for us, and I'm having a great day.
Okay, let's start with, in terms of your specific role in the development of the game, walk me through, like, how is your role in helping make something like this a reality?
Well, I don't make anything. I am in community, so I do and marketing. So I do things like this, and I get to talk about the game.
Okay.
The hard work is everybody who's back at the studio, building the game and
Sure.
doing all the coding.
Sure.
I am lucky enough to get to come here and talk about the awesome stuff that they create, which is fun.
But you make the community.
I help build it, I would say.
You don't want to take credit for anything.
I try not to.
So then talk me through a little bit about what makes this one special in comparison, because there's been a lot of Mortal Kombat
There
games
have.
over the years.
I mean, 30 years this year.
Yeah.
And it is. I don't know. I really love this one.
Okay.
I've loved them all. I mean, obviously,
Sure.
I'm going to say that because I do.
Right.
This one is special. It's beautiful. I love the idea of a reboot. I love the characters we've selected. I mean, we haven't shown all of them,
Right,
but I'm
of
super
course.
happy about that.
Right.
I think we have some of the best looking particle effects, and just the way the game looks is the highest fidelity thing we've done yet. And it all came together, and I love it.
Excellent. And I mean, this is a kind of a reboot of sorts, like a reimagining of the
Sure.
story. And, a lot of the classic characters that have always been a part of the franchise. And like you say, who knows how many more you have yet to announce. But
Right.
as far as like what's in the trailers, what's in the footage that's been there, I mean, I go all the way back to like 1994.
I hear that.
I mean, I was a part of the original arcade era.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, that was as Street Fighter was the thing, Mortal Kombat came right on the right after Pit Fighter, and effectively that was like one of those games that, along with Street Fighter and Pit Fighter, there would be people lined up for like an hour,
Oh, yeah.
quarters on the machine, just trying to get one chance to play.
The Aladdin's Castle in Hutchinson, Kansas was my home arcade, and I definitely played my fair share.
Yeah, for me it was OP Arcade in Connecticut.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, you had to drive 45 minutes to an arcade in Connecticut to be able to go to an arcade.
Right.
Because Connecticut was pretty backwater in those days. So effectively coming into this new kind of imagining of what's there. Now, of course, just from the little hands-on time that I just did before I came here to get all this craziness set up, effectively, the basic mechanics of, best of 3 rounds in terms of, combat, in terms of making everything happen, still very much the same form of Mortal Kombat. They talked a lot about how the cameo system was a new thing to it, which
Yes.
is, I will fully admit, and I mean, I didn't have hours to sit there and play it, but I failed quite miserably at making the cameo system work correctly. But effectively, what do you think makes this one really special in terms of fans of the franchise?
I keep saying, and I think one of our goals really was player expression. We have a lot of players out there who want to show their personality through the characters they play and how
Yep.
they play that character.
Yep.
And with the cameos and with the way combos work now, people are able to really get in there and show who they are with how they play and what cameos they match with their main fighter.
Yep.
That mechanic, I think, is really kind of the big thing about Mortal Kombat 1 is these cameos. Like once you get them, they're in your fingers and they feel great, and they're not only offensive, they can be defensive. There's
Right.
a lot of different things that they can do. A lot of things we haven't even shown yet.
Right.
They're definitely a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing that I got from the sense of it, from the demonstration we were being shown in terms of like what it looks like when someone really knows what they're doing.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's a learning curve to it for sure, and that was always the thing with Mortal Kombat games. The people who did the best were the people who really figured out how to time things right and what the best moves were at the right time. But I mean, I got the sense that once you had a command of it. And I mean, I don't know how steep of a learning curve that is. Of course, it looked like in the menus the moves were transparent. It wasn't like it was like in the old days you had to know a guy who had the internet,
right. Or accidentally do something.
Yeah, and you're like, wait, that combination of buttons did a
Right.
thing. Because, I mean, back in those days, the fatalities, no one had any idea how. And it was all shared information through a community that made it happen. But the sense that I got, and I can't speak to in what little experience I had with it, what the learning curve is, but like once you do get there, once you're at the point where you understand the fluidity between that system and the regular system, it can become this like gorgeous ballet of violence, basically.
So that's a very well put way to say it. That's nice, because it really is.
Sure.
We've added also like air combats now in the game. So not only you're on the ground, like then your cameo is knocking someone in the air and you're spinning them around and knocking them back down to the ground. So it is, like you said, it is a ballet. Like it is beautiful. Sometimes, like I've seen some combos out there that some of the higher level players have tried. There's a beauty to the combo and the way it flows, and that's really cool to see.
Now, in terms of like the general mechanics of the game, usually what I'm used to in Mortal Kombat is like there is always the multiplayer, which is a big part of the popularity of the game, of course. But then I'm assuming there's a regular single-player campaign to go through a kind of. In the old days, it was either Shang Tsung or yeah, that was in the old days what they went to. Is I imagine there's that same mechanic as far as going through the whole story.
Well, we have a story, always a robust story mode to explain what this world that Liu Kang created is. And then you have some other modes we haven't announced yet, which we're excited to announce in the coming months.
Very cool. So there is that. And do you have any sense of how long that is, just out of curiosity?
Not exactly, no. But it's usually a pretty robust way to play the game. It'll take you some time.
Okay, so it's not a kind of thing you could rip through in just like a day.
I have not actually played through it all the way yet. So
okay.
I'm one of those people who I know I can at any point. I always save it for myself because I want to see it like. Sometimes I do it at launch, you know what I mean? I want to be there with everybody doing it.
So you wait until actually it's day one.
The last time I did that, I probably shouldn't. I probably should know more. But for myself, it's always been like a little tradition of my own, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So you wait till everything happens, and then you start to dig in with everyone else at the same time.
I love doing that.
Okay, so I mean, I'm curious for certain kind of deets in terms of characters that I'm sure you can't talk about, because I know that's a big part of with games like this, the launch schedule, and like there's a kind of drip.
It's an exciting part for us to get those out there, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I would love to know about certain ones, but I'm sure you can't talk about most of them, because there's certain ones like Shang Tsung. I was a Shang Tsung player back in the day. When Mortal Kombat 2 came out, that was the end of the arcade era for me.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was me knowing how to change into every single character.
It's the best.
That was my favorite part of the game,
yes.
was that I could theoretically be anyone I wanted at any given moment. But I have to imagine, because I didn't see it in what was there, you're not in a position to say or confirm or deny if that's a part of what's coming in this.
Shang Tsung?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a pre-order character.
Perfect. Yep. Excellent. All right, great. That makes me very happy. Yes. I saw Goro in the footage, but I don't know if that means Goro's playable or if it's just one of the bosses to go as part of the tournament.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, more on that to come.
Yeah, I figured. Because a lot of the older games, they didn't necessarily have Goro in there as a character you could play. It was like usually a boss as part of like the progression.
Goro is one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah. That and probably Reptile.
Love Reptile as well, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, very cool. And then I think just to kind of like wrap up, I know your time is valuable and everything, and there's probably 18 people behind me in this, as these days tend to go. Not a spare second of time. So this is in this kind of new beginning phase of what everything is here and how this is going to evolve into the next flavor. I mean, it's kind of like The Last of Us rebranding the part one, right. And then, there's obviously a sense of like there could be a part 3. I'm assuming MK1 means MK2, MK3 in the years to come. And effectively, I guess that's the thing, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think, like, without going too far into the narrative and things we can't talk about and stuff like that, is this the kind of thing that you feel like the fans are hungry for in terms of that greater mythos behind the characters? I mean...
yes, definitely. One thing I love about our fans, besides just loving the fighting, they love the lore. And being able to take a lot of these characters that they've come to know and love and, mix them up a little bit. That's super fun, and I'm excited for the fans to see that and find new ways to love these characters. That's exciting to us.
Cool. And last thing, and then I promise this is the end, because it just occurred to me as I'm thinking here. In the old days, of course, it got to the point where there were numerous fatalities, babalities, other kinds of things like that. Now, this, as far as the demo, what we were playing with, just had one thing listed in the information of the moves. Is it safe to say there'll probably be multiple versions of things as far as fatalities and other end moves like that?
Not going to go into too in depth on that.
Sure,
there is some stuff on the game right now, but yeah, I'm not going to talk about that a lot right now. But again, we're on a full run right now to talk about this game, so things are going to start dripping out real soon.
Yeah, I figured.
So, yeah.
No worries. Well, really appreciate your time. Thanks for talking with us.
It was awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Cool. Thank you.